The 2025 Audi S3 is all the sports sedan you need. Review. Audi improved the S3's fundamental rightness with a handful of under-the-surface tweaks. This is one of those cars that feels like hitting a reset button. In a world where we vacillate between too much and not enough, the 2025 Audi S3 is neither. It's one of the best answers to so many questions. And now, some notable tweaks below the surface, including an important piece of hardware from the big brother RS3, make the S3 more fun without spoiling the livability that's always made it an appealing package. Even driving the S3 around town, you notice the improvements immediately. Audi finally upped its steering game, moving past the overly light, vague feel that's characterized its cars for years now. Same deal with the brakes. The pedal is basically perfect, firm, and with just the right amount of travel. It's the first time I've ever thought about the brake feel in an Audi. On the optional 19-inch wheels, the low-speed ride is characterized by firm impacts, but the damping still feels excellent. This test car had optional adaptive dampers as part of the $1,100 S Sport package, which isn't available on the base S3 trim, and while I wish they offered a bit wider spread between different drive modes, I can't fault how they dealt with everything the road threw at them. As my colleague Chris Rosales reported in his first drive of the S3, Audi engineers undertook a big rethink of how their cars drive, and the results speak for themselves. And I haven't even got to the best bit. From the RS3, the S3 inherits Audi's torque splitter rear differential. Riding on Volkswagen's front-drive MQB platform, the same one that's underpinned the Golf for over 10 years now, the S3 can only send up to half its power to the rear wheels. But thanks to a pair of multi-plate clutches on either side of the diff, the S3 apportions that power to either rear wheel. In the new Dynamic Plus drive mode, which puts stability control into Sport, the diff fully works its magic. The torque splitter, which sounds way better if you say it with a Bavarian accent, doesn't turn the S3 into a drift machine, but by overdriving an outside rear wheel in cornering, it makes the S3 much more agile. Get on the throttle earlier mid-corner, and the car does a nice little rotation. For a vehicle that always felt more secure than lively, Z-Torque splitter adds great character. If the S3 senses you're oversteering too much, say on a slippery road, it can also overdrive an inside wheel, bringing the car back into line. It's a clever piece of hardware, one Audi uses to great effect here. For 2025, Audi made some exterior tweaks I'm less convinced by. It's still a handsome car, but the black 2D Audi rings, which are part of the $1,650 black optic package, look a bit cheap. And when the S3 comes in excellent blues, reds, and yellows, why go for this boring white paint? It does help the S3 blend into traffic, at least. Inside, this is classic Audi in a good way. The latest Audi models might have cost-cut interiors, but the S3 most certainly does not, with great materials and ergonomics throughout. Each button actuates with a satisfying click, and this older infotainment system is wonderfully straightforward. The virtual cockpit digital gauge cluster continues to set the benchmark for these sorts of systems, and praise be, there are physical climate controls too. Special mention goes to the seats, which not only have great quilting but also support the body in all the right places. The back seats are admittedly quite cramped, but if you're not carting around adults, it's worth the compromise. VW/Audi fans will be familiar with the powertrain here, which is as good as ever. It's the ubiquitous EA888 2.0-liter four-cylinder paired with a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission. The S3 gets a nice power bump from 306 to 328 horsepower, while torque remains at a healthy 295 pound-feet. What's interesting is that the engine idles rather high for a modern car, around 9,001,000 RPM, and if you treat the transmission like it's a conventional automatic, you'll always rocket away unexpectedly quickly from a stop. It's just a thing to get used to, and once you're up and moving, there are no DCT quirks. In its fruitier drive modes, the engine almost sounds a bit 5-cylinder-esque, accompanied by prominent turbo whistle, and as ever, the power delivery is strong from low revs up towards 7,000 RPM. The dual clutch also feels super sharp on up and downshifts, and while the paddles still feel disappointingly plasticky, it's worth switching into manual mode for more fun. Of course, the big question with the S3 remains. Is it worth the premium over the Golf R? Compared to the disappointing MK8, I'd say so, but we haven't yet gotten a chance to drive the MK 8.5 Golf R, which addresses many of its predecessor's shortcomings and gets the same power bump as the Audi, plus the neat rear differential. Plus, obviously, the practicality of the rear hatch. But the Audi isn't that much more than the Golf R, with a base price of $49,995 to the VW's $48,325. Still, the S3 you probably want is the mid-tier Premium Plus, which costs $52,395 and needs the $1,100 S Sport Pack for the adaptive dampers the Golf gets standard. Our tester was a loaded Prestige model with a $60,840 sticker and every option available. It's a lot of nice equipment, but not mandatory. We'll drive the updated Golf R soon, and we can then render a better verdict. But my advice, regardless, check out both. I suspect the S3 might be worth the extra bread. Audi's done a great job here of preserving what the S3 already did well while honing the driving dynamics to imbue the car with more personality. Overlook this car at your peril. It's an ideal sports sedan.